Viva Chile! The last stage of 7 here in Chile on this Dakar for 2010. 4 stages in Argentina remain, but that is tomorrow because we got a race on in this Dakar. We got a race because Nasser Al-Attiyah took an enormous amount of time out of Carlos Sainz, the leader of this rally 24 hours ago. He started this morning 8.5 minutes behind Sainz and he was immediately on the limit, scratching and scrabbling away for grip, the Qatari driver, with Timo Gottschalk alongside him, the German co-driver, sensing that they had an opportunity to close in on King Carlos himself. They started first on the stage, they kicked up the dust, and that meant that Carlos Sainz was stuck behind Al-Attiyah and therefore in trouble. Sainz kept his cool though. He knows that he has to keep cool in these last few kilometers with the drag back to Buenos Aires. In the end though, it was Carlos Sainz who did win the stage. It was Al-Attiyah who lost out somewhat. Even though Sainz caught Al-Attiyah in the last 80 kilometers, Sainz did eke out a little bit more of an advantage, and Sainz now leads by 10 minutes. What about Stefan Petterhansel? He lost out on the stage victory by 28 seconds this afternoon. He, of course, battling with Vladimir Shigin for the absolute victory of Dakar stage wins. Will Shigin be victorious later in the afternoon by the time the Kamaz trucks came through? On board with Mark Miller, third on the stage, lost a minute to Carlos Sainz, and try as Miller did, it wasn't going to be quite enough as they steamed past the cactus. Gerland Shisharik kicked up the dust, and the second BMW on the stage was all the fives. 5th on the stage, and he remains 5th in the overall standings. Still some sand, a lot of dust, and still some rocks out there to catch people out. Such as we see here as they join another road from a junction, and this bowler, one of many that tipped over this afternoon in the heat outside Santiago. That was one, here's another. You just couldn't believe it, the way they just tipped in with such ease, but fortunately there was a lot of people out there. Now this is BJ Baldwin. He had his Hummer stuck in the ditch because he was trying to avoid another car that was sitting in the middle of the road, but people power, they really got stuck in. Kellen Walsh, the former KTM USA rider, sitting alongside him, he got out and he got moving. Orlando Terranova really attacking today's stage, but wary not to crash like he did in the similar conditions on stage 2. Admittedly it was wet there, but Terranova 6th. Barbosa, Miguel Barbosa, the Portuguese in his Mitsubishi, he was 7th today, whilst Guillaume Spinelli also having a good run. Robbie Gordon, he knew he would always struggle on these stages. The four-wheel drive cars running ahead of him were always going to get the traction and always going to get the grip, and try as Gordon may, he could only get 9th at the line. He still stays 10th overall. Carlos Sousa, what a run from the amiable Portuguese. He's in 6th now in the overall standings, just under 4 hours back of Sainz. He was never going to catch Sainz, he knew that even when he jumped into the car at the beginning of the rally. But for Sousa, he's in touch and he's right on the tails of the leading diesels ahead of him. Therefore Sousa, the leading petrol car. Janil de Villiers not going to be winning another Dakar here in 2010, but unfortunately still getting lost.
Paul. Never saw the pole. I think it was that road. You're on the right road, up there. He's going wrong. Turn around, turn around, turn around. Use that road.
Where the fuck is he now?
He's behind us.
No, he went in there, but I don't know why he didn't come first.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Dirk von Zitzewitz sitting alongside him. Janil eventually finding a way out of the stage. and outside the top 10, unfortunately. Ricardo Leal dos Santos with his BMW was 12th, whilst Nicolas Misselin 13th after his good run through the dunes yesterday. And right on their tail was the Flying Dutch crew, Van Diesch in the X-Works Mitsubishi. They're really getting in the swing of things, and the leading Dutch crew on 4 wheels. Problems though for the T2 leader, Nicolas Gibon. He says on the sat phone that it's been on its roof for 2 minutes.
To make the engine running.
So what that has meant is that the thing's been running upside down. And any engineer knows that the sump is then at the top of the engine rather than at the bottom. He says, I was in the dust of one of the buggies and I left the stage. He didn't want to let me past. I went too much off the road really, and there was this hole and the engine is now blocked, so I've got to wait. That's all I can do. So that's big news now, because now Yun Mitsuhashi is going to lead the T2 class in the sister Toyota. Will Mitsuhashi be victorious by the time we come to Buenos Aires? He won his 5th T2 stage victory today. Stage 10 victorious for Carlos Sainz ahead of Stefan Pederhansel by just those 28 seconds. Sainz pulling out a little bit more therefore, with Alatia slotting in 4th at the line. Overall, Sainz now leads by just over 10 minutes. Mark Miller in 3rd. It's still a Volkswagen 1, 2 and 3. We didn't have any problem, but about 80 kilometers from the end we caught Nasser and we stayed behind him because he didn't want to listen to the sentinel warning. We just could not get past him.
For me today it was really very stress, because I opened the road and it was not easy, because I don't know where exactly the braking and where the turning, but it's good. Nobody was cross us, and Carlos he catch us last 50k, but it's okay. I'm quite happy for today.
Normally our car is made for these African big open stages with the technical sections which are not so long. Here, for 250 kilometers, it's a very tricky stage. Always you're on the brakes, and our braking system is going to be limited in these conditions. We should improve it with a water cooling circuit put over the caliper and inside the caliper, which keeps the brakes at the same temperature. We have the same at Mitsubishi, we haven't got it yet at Beamer.
We had a trouble-free special, got beat 9 minutes. It's just the way it is with WRC style courses, which this is. In the big desert I think we're good, but we got to figure out how to be even better on these types of terrains.
The trucks got underway for stage 10. The run down from La Serena on the edge of the Pacific Ocean, going a little bit more inland to the hugely metropolitan city, the capital city that is Santiago here in Chile. Now it's all a Kamaz block out at the front, but in the end, come the finish line, the 5 times winner of the Dakar Rally, Russian Vladimir Shigin with his Kamaz, has picked up his 8th stage victory in this year's event. Therefore, for Shigin, it's his 55th of his career on the event. That is an absolute record, 1 step now ahead of Stefan Pederhansel. Out there on the stage for nearly 4 hours of running, the Tsar, as he has been nicknamed, beat his countryman and teammate Firdaus Kabirov by just under 1.5 minutes. The Frenchman, Joseph Adeu in an Iveco, was only another 14 seconds behind Kabirov. Pretty close considering that you can't pass truck by truck out there on a stage such as today. No worries for Shigin in the general standings, where the Tsar is, well, quite easily heading towards his 6th Dakar title. He now has a lead of 1 minute and 12 seconds, an hour and 13 minutes essentially, over his faithful Lieutenant Kabirov, and a massive lead of well, 8.5 hours over the Dutchman Marcel van Vliet. The bikes and the cars may have flung their way through the tighter sections, but actually it was very difficult for these trucks. Stage 11 is going to be next up on this year's Dakar, moving back over the Andes. The route taking us from Santiago into San Juan, a kilometre stage of 220. It's going to be a big ascent, and right up into the snow line, going past the towering and majestic peak of Aconcagua. We're going back into Argentina. Make sure you're with us tomorrow for more Dakar action.